Well, good morning, church family. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're looking forward to a good weekend. Back by popular demand is the Shepherd Dose, and we're completing our first week now. We appreciate those. A few of you who are very influential and have decided to pressure test us into coming back, so we're glad to do this. We're all capable of being spiritually lazy. Lord knows I struggle with laziness and sadly sometimes apathy in my spiritual life. All things being equal, even as a person who likes to resolve conflict, I want to stay off the rough roads of life. And my primary objective, most of the time, is to secure kind of a peaceful retreat and to hide out from the world. The idea is kind of put forth to challenge that in these very familiar Church of Christ verses from Hebrews 10, verses 24 and 25. I'm sure some of you old CFC brethren can say it with me. It says, "Let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together," etc., etc. Stirring up one another and making sure you're going to church is really what these verses entail. Both of those require initiative, and they're kind of in reverse order when you think about it. The first thing is our willingness to show up, just showing up at church. We can't live a withdrawn, a distant, a secluded life as a mature Christian. It's really diametrically opposed to what Jesus Christ taught. So you have to show up before we can stir one another up to good works. The true test of our spirituality occurs when we show up and then we get stirred up. Have you ever had anyone stir you up? I have, and I would say most of the time it does not initially evoke a very positive reaction. We come up against someone challenging our thoughts on injustice or ingratitude, the turmoil in the world, or like this Sunday, our freedoms as Americans. Sometimes I'll only use my relationship with God only for the sake of getting peace and joy, not for making things right and challenging wrongs when I see them in the world, especially in the church. Peter went on to say, in 2 Peter 1:13, he says, "Yes, I think it is right," Peter said, "to stir you up by reminding you." It's a very disturbing thing to be hit squarely in the stomach by someone being used by God to stir us up. Simple active work and spiritual activity, they're not necessarily the same thing. Active work in the church and spirituality are not necessarily the same thing. Actually, active work in the church sometimes can be counter to true spiritual activity. So the real danger in my spiritual laziness and apathy is that, I really don't want to be stirred up. All I want to hear about is my spiritual retirement from the world. But I've got to remember that Jesus never encouraged the idea of retirement. So let that sink in, because he says often, "Go and tell." And there's no age limit on that, by the way. And by the way, we'll only be more miserable the more we ignore his instructions to go and to tell and to do what he's telling us to do. So, certainly rest this weekend, but don't miss any opportunity that Jesus or the Spirit is calling you to do with your friends, with your families, with your neighbors. Be encouraged. Be stirred up. We love you. Bye-bye.